Hello, this is again who on your part of Gaso TV. Again, it's me again bringing you regular topics that really concerns us, Nigeria, Africa, and the world. Now, there's another thing that interests you and I that we know that happen all the time, that is really of concern, is Israel and Palestine. Can these two countries ever live in peace? Jesus, these two countries. Look at them in the map. Indivisible. The Israelis and the Palestinians living in one area, that tiny area in the Middle East. Now, this has become the hottest spot of trouble in the world we live today. Can they ever live in peace? Even before I was born and now that I'm still living, there's still trouble between these two people. Can they ever live in peace in that region called the Middle East? Trouble since after the Second World War. Look at the Jews, which I believe are really owner of that land. They lost this land, as you see here in this map. They lost this land when Jerusalem was conquered by King Saladin. To push away the Crusaders. And these guys were not, the Jews were scattered for 2,000 years, wandered around the world. Now you see them everywhere, Europe, North America, all over the world, making everywhere their home. And you know, the Jews spending everywhere and dominating and making money and all that. And then by 1897, the World Science Congress was formed. This was aimed at even articulating the interest of the Jews to eventually bring them to their homeland. The British wanted to give them, they were working with the British, wanted to give them a place in Uganda, as in East Africa. But they rejected it because they have no link to it. Their aim was to go back to their land, being the promised land as God had promised them in the biblical times, that is in the Middle East. This is what they wanted. In 1917, the British Foreign Secretary then, Lord James Balfour, you can see him there, made the Balfour Declaration, as you can see, where he supported the Jews going back to Palestine. You can see that he himself is of Jewish stock, so he sympathized with the Jews and supported the Jews going to their homeland, being in Israel. And then Palestine, that does not come in this picture, has longer existed. This has been a place in the Ottoman Empire. This is an empire that was ruled by the Turks from 1299 to about after the end of after the Second World War, an empire run by the Turks. And this area called Palestine, you have the Jews and the Arab in this area, living according to their attention and all that. Then after the Second World War, was it after the First World War, about the Second World War, the Jews started returning in droves. It now hastened when the Second World War now came up, when Hitler, this German devil, that started the Second World War, that his name was to exterminate the Jews. This now took millions of Jews. About 6 million were killed in gas chambers. We all know what happened to the Jews. Horrible. The Holocaust. It's the worst calamity in the history of mankind, I would say. With this is now the climax of the Jewish in exile, that they now hasten their desire to now return home, to have a homeland of their own, where they can feel now safe, that God can now listen to them and they're pleased to return them back to their homeland, which God had now promised them. But because of the past skirmishes and all that, they now migrated. Now they don't want to come back home to their homeland. And then, after the Second World War, they now started returning in droves to now come to this area of Palestine, ended up pushing up the Arabs who had the most of this land. It became a trouble for the British, who handed over control of this Palestine after the Ottoman Empire collapsed. And then the trouble now went so serious and all that the British now had to now take this matter to the newly formed United Nations that came up in 1945. And then this issue went on. It was now resolved in 1947. There was a partition this area into the Jewish and Arab area. You can now see that's how it was now partitioned. The Israelis accepted that cleverly. The Arabs rejected that. And then on 14th of May 1948, Israel now declared the state. Palestine now had Gaza, West Bank, Jerusalem as their own. Now Israel had the rest. The war now broke out in 1948 when Israel declared their statehood. It went on. The Arabs lost the war eventually, even though Jordan controlled West Bank, controlled Gaza, West Bank and East Jerusalem, while Egypt controlled the West Bank. You can now see. Then later on, the Palestinians now declared their statehood in 1948. But still, this was now under control of Egypt and Jordan. So where is the statehood of Palestine? And then this now sort of brought about tension between Arabs and Israelis since 1948. 1956, a young man that came to power in revolution in Egypt called Gamal Nasser now came up with the revolution to now destroy Israel. They started the war in 1956 with the Suez Canal and all that, where he denied Israel passage, and then it went to war with the British and all that. Egypt lost the war. The skirmishes now continued between Israel and Syria, you name it all, which is another area there. You can see that Israel is bordered by Arabs, and they don't feel safe. The skirmishes that went on there, water rights and all of them, now led to the infamous 6-day war. This war between Egypt, Syria, Jordan, and Israel broke out in June 1967. It went on for 6 days. This is a miraculous war, I will tell you. In this war, led by the likes of Moshe Dayan, Isaac Rabin, Ariel Sharon, Israel was able to penetrate Egypt and defeat them. The Arabs felt humiliated. They were defeated. Israel captured East Jerusalem, Gaza, West Bank, and other. The Palestinian state from Jordan and other. They captured them. They annexed East Jerusalem. Israel captured these places. The Arabs all felt humiliated. They felt defeated. Another defeat again. This now heightened tension between Israel and the Arabs. Bitter difference. The Palestinians went out. I mean, they had already declared their statehood in 1948. But they had no state since, in this case now, it's now being controlled by Egypt and Jordan. Terrible. All these things now brought about bitterness between Arabs and Israel. It now became Israel versus the Arabs. It's terrible, really. Very, very terrible. The Palestinians found themselves in delicate states that had been stateless. They now went to, even before that, they had already formed the PLO, being Palestine Liberation Organization, to be able to articulate all parties together to fight for their statehood. They've been restless, looking for a state this time. And then they found themselves even clashing with Jordan. That to the point that in 1970, the king of Jordan, King Hussein, now had to expel Palestinians of Jordan, the Fedayeen, fearing that these guys are going to take over their land. The Black September uprising, where he had to force them away. And then the Palestinians, becoming now stateless and restless, found themselves now with the peace accord, now going to southern Lebanon, close to Israel, to continue with their struggle. Yasser Arafat and the PLO. This man, Yasser Arafat, has now been the voice of Palestine around the world, the face of around the world resistance. Well, I don't blame him. A man who is for freedom will fight for freedom. So then went to Lebanon and they continued the struggle. Israel now pursued them. And then went there in 1978 to take on Lebanon. They will come down later. All these skirmishes went on. 1973 again, it was now the Arab-Israeli war again. With Gamal Nasser now dead, Egypt under Sadat wanted to recapture Mount Sinai and even help Palestinians get land. On the 6th of October 1973, embarked on a war against Israel again. With Syria and other front, they all teamed up to now fight Israel again. This was a very terrible war that nearly made Israel lose their territory. But with help from the United States and Russia helping the Arabs, it now became a stalemate. With I would say Egypt lost the war. Israel was still in control of these territories. They lost a lot of lives. These same skirmishes again and bitterness. That because of that, the Arabs in 1974 embarked on an Arab oil embargo against the United States to really punish them for supporting Israel during the 1973 war. It's been really terrible, all these skirmishes. Terrible. Even the one in Syria, as a perpetuity, Israel now took on Golan Heights that got 1997 and still kept on to this day. It has now become tension. You now wonder, can these people ever live together in peace? Tension. Israel is always on the watch. Develop a military to defend themselves. It's been terrible. In 1978 now, Israel had to enter Lebanon to now stop, to now fight the Palestinians there. And then with that now, the Shiite group now came up, Hezbollah. It now came up as Hezbollah, backed by Iran that came up like the Iran regime, Islamic revolution, backed by them to now disrupt Israel. So Israel has now found herself fighting the Arabs on all fronts over the years for their existence. It's been terrible. And then, ironically, or you will say, Egypt and Israel reconciled in 1979. With Anwar Sadat and was the Menachem Begin in the Oval Garden in Washington by Jimmy Carter in 1979. This was now like a blow to the Arabs. They now felt that they are now fighting Israel and someone's going behind the back to go and recognize Israel. What about the Palestinian rights? That shouldn't happen until Israel has given Palestinians their land. This now annoyed the Arabs. They now had resentment against Egypt. And the struggle now continued. It was even expected from the Arab League. But relations within Egypt and Israel went on. And then skirmishes between Israel and Palestine went on. Then 1987, December 87, now come the uprising called Intifada in Arab. It went on from 1987 till 1993. This is a show of resistance against Israeli occupation, where they had to now fight for their rights and their land. All these skirmishes and all that, coupled with the Gulf War of 1991, where Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait and all that. Then there was now the Oslo peace, there were now the Middle East peace process after the Gulf War. And then 1993, there was now the Oslo Peace Accord that was now signed in the White House with Bill Clinton presiding, Yasser Arafat, and Yitzhak Rabin. Now, with Palestine recognizing Israel's right to exist, as well as Israel recognizing Palestine. But the main issue of contention has now been the issue of right to return, where Palestinians are demanding that they return to the land that they were driven off. That has been the big contention. So the peace process has now been going on ever since then. Arafat had to come back to head the Palestinian Authority from exile in Tunisia. He now came to head the authority that made Palestine to be a de facto state. So the peace process has now been going on. The Palestinian government now created in Ramallah, which is a part of the West Bank. So tensions has now been going on. Israel had now annexed East Jerusalem in 1980 to make it one Jerusalem, as their own city of David. So the peace process has now been going on. And then all of a sudden, Yitzhak Rabin was killed in 1995 because they saw that he was seriously moving towards reconciling with the Arabs. He was even about to even quit many territories in the West Bank. He was now killed. And then the peace process was not dealt a blow in 2000 when Arafat rejected most of the issues on the table, especially area of East Jerusalem. And then all these skirmishes now went on. Then Ariel Sharon now came on. He went to visit the temple in East Jerusalem, and then trouble started. He came to office, there were skirmishes and troubles and all that between these two people. And then in 2005, ironically, he now handed over Gaza to the Arabs, to the Palestinians. This even annoyed the Israelis that again there had to be a splinter group. Benjamin Netanyahu now broke away from the Likud party, and then there was another party in Israel. He now broke away, and then when he now vowing that he will never recognize Palestine as a state. And then the Arab-Israeli war now went to Israel-Hezbollah war, kicked off in 2006. For reasons that one cannot even know. Israel has left southern Lebanon since 2000. Yes, Hezbollah has been working in solidarity with the Palestinians and now fighting Israel, aided by the Iranian regime. All these skirmishes has now been going on. So because Netanyahu has now vowed that if he comes to office, he will make sure that there's no Palestinian state. And this is really, really, really wrong. The hardliners in Israel are opposed to the Palestinian state. They even want to take territories in the West Bank and in Jerusalem. What would Palestinians have? See, it will be terrible. There has to be a two-state solution. Then the militant group called Hamas has now risen over the years after the Intifada to now fight Israel. They went ahead to push away the Ramallah administration in Gaza by elections anyway. They made it a state, acquired arms from Iran, trained and started fighting Israel. So in that case, justifying the fact that Ariel Sharon should have given Gaza to the Palestinians. Then it now became the war that they fought in 2006. This is really, really, really very, very terrible. It's terrible. Hamas and Hezbollah have now been the arrowheads for proxy war between Israel and the others, aided by the Islamic regime in Iran, the Shiite government of Iran. And Hezbollah is a Shiite group in Lebanon, based in the southern part of the country, tormenting Israel. So Iran is using these groups to torment Israel and fight Israel, that Iran has vowed to destroy Israel. But I can tell that will never happen. There has to be a Palestinian. We have to be separating Palestinians. I do understand. Israel is surrounded by enemies and they have developed their military to save themselves. Yes, we've secured the state of Israel. Israel has come to stay, but Palestine has right on their own. They have the right. They should be able to exist as a state side by side with Israel. The issue of right to return has to be out of the way. The Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem belong to Palestinians. The rest of the territories belongs to Israel. You can see two of them. You can't even separate them. Or two of them now sandwiched even in one piece of land. And this is terrible. Palestine has 25% of territory. Israel has 75%. So what's the problem? It's now the issue of who owns Jerusalem. And then these tensions have now been going on. And then Hamas again came up on 7th of October, Yom Kippur 2023, to now attack Israel recently, kidnapping people and killing hundreds of people. And Israel had to retaliate by now the war that has been ongoing on since 2023. Killings on both sides. And Gaza has now been turned into a place of rubble, destroyed. Fighting has been going on. Hostages have been held by Israel, by Hamas. And then to seek for peace now, it has now become taking hostages now for them to be able to get prisoners released from prisoners released from Israeli jails. How long will this continue? Can these people ever live in peace? That is now the very big question. Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem belongs to Palestinians. That's what it should be. While West Jerusalem and other areas belongs to Israel. I don't see this issue of Jerusalem where two of them are fighting for the Holy Land. The Holy Temple, the scepter, and all that in Jerusalem. So Palestine will take the eastern part, Bethlehem. Israel has the western part. Two of them, two state solution is the best solution and the answer to this problem. There's already an Palestinian authority that has been there since 1993, 1994, run by Arafat earlier. He died, and now managed by Mahmoud Abbas. Israel should stop building settlements in the West Bank. They should stop that. That is what even causes problem. I don't know what that they want to annex. What do the Palestinians have left? Millions of about 10 million people are Palestinians. They need land on their own. And Palestine should be a state on their own. Many nations of the world support Palestine. And recently, even in the western part, Norway, Ireland, and Slovenia have recognized Palestine. Palestine has a right to exist. And we have to support them. African countries support Palestine. I commend South Africa for supporting Palestine, even though I don't support Hamas. We don't support Hezbollah. I support them being agents of terror. Peace is the best solution by dialogue. There are thousands of Palestinians in Israeli jails. All of them are now martyrs in one way or the other. You don't blame them for if they call them martyrs. They have sacrificed and fighting for freedom. They have the right to become a state. Iran has to stop sponsoring it. Has to stop sponsoring these Hamas and Hezbollah. Israel would not be destroyed. There has to be peace between them. Arabs and Israelis should live together in that region. The Abraham Accords, which came up in Trump administration, was it 2020? With UAE, Bahrain, and later on Morocco, Sudan. That's very good. But it shouldn't be a biased peace. America, being the big player here, should continue their efforts to bring them together to make peace. The Trump administration has even made things worse when they had to recognize East Jerusalem as part of Israel and all that. It is very wrong. Now they are now saying that they now want to take over Gaza. That is also very wrong. Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem belongs to Palestinians. There has to be a Palestinian state, side by side with Israel, and I'm sure that can happen. With this current war now, the awareness is now going everywhere. There are protests around the world, solidarity with Palestine. So we don't support violence by Hamas. So there has to be a Palestinian state. This seems to be a problem that cannot be solved by man. I do hope that God Almighty will not intervene and solve it. It has been a very thorny issue in the Second World War. I don't know if it can be solved by man. These two nations, I can call them brothers of Abraham, Jews and Arabs. They have to live together. Some states recognize Israel now, Egypt, Jordan, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and other. Others should join, but it has to be with Palestine being a state. I accept that. There has to be peace between Israel and Palestinians. They have to live in peace so that there will be peace in this world. All the Arab attacks and Arab sentiment against the West has always been because of the issue of Israel and Palestine. That has to stop. The Palestinians, they are human beings. They deserve a state. They cannot be stateless or be refugees. One day, there will be a full-fledged state by the grace of God. Israel has come to stay. Palestine will also be a state by the grace of God. It will surely happen. Long live the state of Israel. Long live Palestine. And may the peace in this world. God bless everyone. Thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me hear your comment in this section. This is really a very thorny, disturbing issue. I hope that in my lifetime, there'll be peace in this region so that Israelis and Arabs can live together. Can they live in peace? Yes, I believe so. It's tough, but they can. Thank you very much. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you again for more videos. God bless you. Thank you.